Chapter 1-8 Cracker Teams. They are a community of anonymous individuals who upheld the philosophy of being free to do whatever you want in the network and in the digital world as their goal. There is no membership list. It is not a special club of friends. Even cracker teams had diverse groups within them. They all had different ideologies, principles, and goals. Often they even broke out into fights among each other. Cracker teams are at odds with the existing law and government. A group of outcasts that were labeled an antisocial group. Through process of elimination, this was the only common denominator that was shared among all cracker teams. Nevertheless, those who called themselves code crackers more or less agreed with the cracker team philosophy and slowly participated as such. A short promotional movie on cracker teams that was uploaded to Grimm's video service played on the monitor.
Be free to do whatever you want in the network and in the digital world. The digital world has no borders or laws. Therefore, no government of ours or laws can oppose any activities that involve Digimon,
Ryusenji said. This was a common argument from the code cracker's point of view. Stuff like this goes over my head, but AG shrugged. It was simply the most lucrative job for me at the time, since I had no connections or education. AG had first gotten interested in code cracking while he was in high school. One of his seniors, who had a bit of a bad streak, talked him into doing it for money. The story was a common one. It was probably a good fit for him. He made more than enough money doing it on a part-time basis. But after a bunch of stuff happened, and he gave up taking college entrance exams, AG started to take code cracking much more seriously. He decided that he'd try to make a living at it.
It's good that you do what you love,
Ryusenji said. Yeah, seriously. I just work jobs that I like doing.
But the government, code crackers are the network's worst offenders, causing nothing but trouble.
I'm careful of traps, AG protested. I don't get too greedy or the DigiPolice will come after me. The police department that handled cybercrimes had a team that dealt specifically with Digimon crimes. The DigiPolice. It was a secret organization unknown to the public, but well known among code crackers. Just recently, a high school student was arrested by the DigiPolice for acting as a code cracker poaching digi-eggs.
You've joined the cracker team, but you're not really interested in their ideals,
Ryusenji mused.
Is the idea of freedom for you something that you take off at the end of the day? Something trendy?
Shallow of me, right? But the things that I want most right now are a job and credentials.
Credentials? I wonder where your future is leading you. Eiji-kun, what is your dream?
I want to win, Eiji replied sincerely.
Oh? Win what?
I couldn't be a winner in real life. But on the internet, if I get big on the internet and rise to power, I ought to be able to change reality. To do that, I want to earn money, evolve my Digimon, and become a top-class code cracker. I want to reach the point where I have a team of my own.
Would you need to be a code cracker to do those things?
Yes. For me, the digital world is the only place where I can really change my life. AG had a premonition. This job was a once-in-a-lifetime chance to become a code cracker of the highest caliber and to change his life. I want to be on the same level as you, Professor Ryusenji. If it is possible to interact with the digital world, directly with all 5 senses, and not through the monitors or observational data, if I could do that, as it actually was, if it was possible to live in the digital world. Upon hearing Eiji's words, Ryusenji smiled.
The digital world can change a person's life.
Much like it did mine. Eiji took the words as that of a successful man who had become one of the wealthiest figures in the world. It had nothing at the moment. No savings, no education, and moreover, no girlfriend. He didn't have the luxury for those things. His life was spent in a cramped 3-mat room, living on an unhealthy, irregular diet. Being able to survive a day at a time, like he did now, probably wasn't something that he would sustain in the long run. He would simply be wasting away like that, just getting older as time went by. That was boring. I want to change my life. I want to become a winner in the digital world. Eiji made up his mind. He had no intention of losing out on his unlikely acquaintance with Professor Ryusenji. No matter how hard or frustrating it might be, he would master his Digimon linker and this training job with Lugumon. No matter what.
Sometimes, by changing your viewpoint to a different angle, one can finally understand the world that you thought you'd known and seen for a long time,
Ryusenji murmured.
Thank goodness. This is great. I had asked you to train Lugumon, but I was also testing you as well, Eiji-kun.
There you go again.
If you were invested in cracker teams, down to their ideology, if you were a foolish, happy-go-lucky kid, drunk on the idea of freedom, I wasn't going to give you this job.
SOC. An insignia. A badge. With 3 letters of the English alphabet. This badge, that featured in the promotional video, was a familiar sight to anyone who has ever tried to peek into the network underground. Sons of Chaos. Eiji gulped.
The Sons of Chaos indeed,
Ryusenji said mildly.
It appears that you know of them.
Of course I do. They're an incredibly famous group of code crackers.
What is your impression of the SOC?
Eiji answered. A group of dangerous guys, I guess. The SOC were top-notch. Eiji would even admit to admiring them. But if you wanted to enjoy a carefree, easygoing life, they were people that you needed to stay away from. The SOC were extremists, a militant organization that was considered the far right of cracker teams. They're known for their crimes using Digimon, information theft, corporate blackmail, cyber terrorism, you name it, Eiji continued. But their leader is so charismatic. The legendary codecracker, Tartaros, who was the mastermind behind that Cyclops incident. The person who went to war with the world. The Cyclops incident won't be described here. It was the trigger that made it impossible for leaders of the international community to ignore the existence of codecrackers, cracker teams, and the digital world. The identity of SOC's leader, codecracker Tartaros, was unknown. Apparently, they were Japanese. But beyond that, there wasn't even a whiff of rumor.
They're like a dark hero, certainly. Tartaros is very popular, even more so than I am.
Ryusenji smiled. Grimm has a lot of Tartaros followers too, but on the other hand, a lot of people hate them because when extremists like them get too conspicuous, the law and regulations get tightened.
That's just it.
Ryusenji looked at Eiji.
The SOC is meddling with the digital world in a very negative way. Their excessive interference is creating risk to the Digimon ecosystem, and ultimately to human society. And naturally, it's threatening my research as well. That's what I am concerned about.
I see.
If stricter legal restrictions were to be enforced, and cause the digital world and the real world to grow even further isolated from each other than they are now, it would be unfortunate for both humans and Digimon, wouldn't you agree?
Ryusenji remained in a neutral camp when it came to codecrackers. He wouldn't have hired Eiji in the first place if he wasn't. However, when it came to violent crimes and terrorism using Digimon, he was deeply concerned. This was because, ultimately, he loved Digimon. If there was one thing that Ryusenji found deplorable, it was humans and codecrackers who misused Digimon and put them in danger. Don't you have a lot of contacts in the government though? Politicians and the like? Eiji asked back. Ryu Senji was a government expert on technology and their special advisor to the digital world. If AG remembered correctly, he was also involved in choosing the police equipment.
Of course,
Ryu Senji said.
I lobbied for changes. However, the current Prime Minister is all about sitting back and observing, not acting. The police just follow the law and crack down on code crackers. Relevant laws are not yet in place, and the ones we have are insufficient. It's not going well.
Professor, what you're telling me sounds like you're taking a dangerous direction.
Do you want me to stop talking about it then?
Not at all. It's making me much more and more excited. Ever since AG had decided to become a code cracker, he knew that he would want to do a job like this one day, not capturing Digimon or collecting Digi-eggs or junk data. He wanted to confront other code crackers as a fully fledged code cracker himself. A dangerous job, with a more adult feel to it.
I want you to do an undercover investigation into SOC,
Ryu Senji said,
to find out what their mysterious leader Tartaros is up to. Do this for the sake of the digital world and the Digimon, to protect them.